Alrighty, so I'm Zach. I write for Monkeys Fighting Robots, and I'm here with Lane Lloyd and Grant DeArmitt, the creative team behind Hunt for the Solavore. Not to be mixed up with Hunt for the Solavore, which I got about halfway through the script before I went like,
that's the
vor is in like carnivore.
that's the Italian translation.
That's what it is. You guys have an Italian version of it already ready to go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm writing it. Don't worry about it. It's not offensive.
So it's the same thing, but everybody has mustaches.
It's great.
Oh, hey, maybe stretch goal.
All right, so quick question for you guys. We talked a little bit about this just a second ago, but other than Hunt for the Solavore, what is your guys' like canon of work? What have you already worked on and published before? I know I just mentioned with you, Lane, you have already had God Puncher go up before.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that's been published. I have a few short comics that I've illustrated and couple pitches that haven't gone, but yes, God Puncher is, as of right now, the only published work that I have.
Cool. And God Puncher you wrote and drew, correct?
Yep, I did everything for it.
Everything for it, man. And Grant, I know that you've been doing a lot of like review work. You're the guy who got me into the review game myself. You're the Frankenstein to my Frankenstein's monster. That's how I describe us.
Thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. Because that book ends so well between us two.
It really does. It really
does.
So
both of you were trying to kill each other?
Yes. Yeah. That's why I had to leave the country.
Look, I don't understand the comic reviewing game. So if that's normal,
that's very normal in the comic.
Very Promethean. Super Promethean.
Yeah. Almost boring at this point. But so other than the work that you've been working for Nightmare on Film Street. You did a little bit of work for Monkeys Fighting Robots as well. You've been working for Newsarama. And I'm blanking on the name of the website that you've been doing short horror stories on.
Black Hole Entertainment.
Black Hole Entertainment, cool.
Yeah. They're a very cool new publisher. They actually have they just had a very successful Kickstarter. I want to say right at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. But they do a bunch of great stuff. Actually, when this interview gets published, they've got a short story contest going on right now. It's called Why Not You? I hope I'm not getting that wrong. So yeah, I've had a story published for them. And they're great. They're very committed to really getting like really like just different stuff on there. It's very cool.
Cool. Yeah. As far as published comics work, Hunt for the Solavore, that's going to be your first, right?
It's going to be my first comic, yeah.
That's awesome. This is cool. People need to get in on the ground floor so that they can be like, yeah, I was there for that Grant's first comic,
that
Grant DeArmitt.
That Grant,
no pressure.
The Lane Lloyd.
Who was that other Grant? No, who cares?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Fine.
Yeah.
Alan Grant, of course.
So give us a quick run through the comic. I know I had previously unceremoniously described it as Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Norse mythology mashing their bits together until they make a love child.
I mean, we can slap that on the back of the book. I think you nailed it.
Hey, yeah. Do it, please.
Darth Vader and Frodo had a dirty baby.
So how would you guys go about describing the comic a little more ceremoniously than I did?
So we've been like at the top of the Kickstarter, we describe it as what if Jack Kirby created Dracula? So cool. It's that classic kind of gothic monster story, mm-hmm. but set in a cosmic mythological kind of world. So yeah, the Norse mythology thing, I definitely think that's very on the nose.
Yeah. There's moments in the script where you kind of just described the way that the characters look, and stuff like that. That actually feels incredibly Kirby Thor. Like it's really cool feeling like that. That's trickled in there a little bit.
That's why it's one of the reasons why I was so excited to work on this. I really like when Kirby was allowed to just go all out.
Yeah.
And no one told him no.
Yeah.
And I feel like this script allows both Grant and I to, there's no limits.
Yeah. You guys are building a world from the ground up. So, world is your oyster, right?
Which is stressful. Thankfully this time around, Grant's around. When I was doing God Puncher by myself, it's a lot.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah. World's on your shoulders. At least the world you're creating, right?
There you go. We're just putting this whole thing on the back of the book.
Yeah. Every word.
Just actually put a recording of it. Put a little screen that just plays this. Yeah, I think so. I think there's
all right. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. If they have the technology for those changing covers where like you have it a different, they definitely have the technology to have a full video play on the back.
Exactly. You just slowly tilt the book and see this entire interview.
We may have to change the goal on the Kickstarter. That's how we want to go. I don't think our current budget's going to cover it.
I don't think so. Add like $5 onto it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Sorry, we had to increase 40,000 because you needed to see this video in the back.
Yeah.
So, Grant, this started as your baby, right? You were the one who began the process of creating this. Where did this idea come from?
I think that Lane had posted. Lane, was it in like 2019? It was a while ago.
It may have posted.
2019 feels like 20 years ago.
It may have been the start of 2019 because I remember us not talking about the pandemic.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Yeah. So they posted that they were looking for more collaborations, and I had seen some God Puncher stuff previously, and so I was like, oh my God, I want to get in on this. So I just messaged Lane and said, if you're up for collaborating, like, would love to just talk to you about this. And a couple messages later, we found out that we both really liked cosmic horror, and we both wanted to do kind of like a monster-y thing. And that really excited me because of Lane's art previously. I was like, monsters from the same pen that did God Puncher just sound. I mean, there's already monsters in God Puncher, and that idea was so exciting to me. So it was only my idea in that I was trying to create something to fit this collaboration, like Lane's art and the idea of cosmic horror. There was definitely some Dracula rattling around in my brain as I was thinking of this. We knew we wanted to do something set in space and big and off-world. And so, the idea of just like what's a bigger vampire kind of showed up, and that was the Solavore, and everything else kind of like came out of that.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't remember there being too much planning. I feel like once we got the idea, it was pretty quick how we wanted everything to go. At least that's how I remember it. I only draw. I don't have to do the hard stuff. So
drawing is the hard stuff.
Well,
but I remember it being like, "Hey, space vampire," and I went, "Yeah, fuck yeah, of course." Oh, can we cuss? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're
okay.
Totally yeah, don't worry. That actually kind of leads me into my next question. I'd seen not a large amount of your work, Lane, but I'd seen some of your work on your Twitter. And I'm very familiar with Grant's work. I've had the honor of reading through a bunch of his scripts over the years, and I love both of your styles.
Oh, thank you.
When I first read the script of Solavore, I was like, Lane Lloyd doing this, interesting, okay. And when I first saw your art, it wasn't the kind of thing where I would be like, oh, I think Grant DeArmitt should write a script for Lane. But the moment that I saw pictures of your guys' pictures of the actual panels that had been in the script, I was like, how did I not see this? This totally works. This is perfect. How did you guys know that? Because you guys have such different styles. How did you know that there would be that great marriage of the two that would work so well?
I don't know if so I take every project like as soon as they see panels from me, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have sent the script to him. So because I have a style that's very hard to write for some people, and that's nothing on them. That's on me, and it's not even a bad thing. But
no,
I don't know. So for a while, I didn't know if it was going to work, and I was worried that Grant was going to look at this and go, okay, let's maybe think of something else. But thankfully it just worked.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just one of those projects that ends up like falling into your lap that just, I would like to think works perfectly.
I mean, the images that I've seen so far, I've been like, this is it. Like this is what. Yeah, it looks incredible. And I really love the fact that because you have such an interesting style, Lane, like it's really your own thing. And Grant really has his own style of writing. Mm-hmm. And the fact that in some ways they kind of almost seem like night and day to me, I think works together so brilliantly to create this kind of. It's like it's a weird mix, but it's awesome. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, I think one of the ways that Lane and I think were really fortunate was that I do agree that like our styles are separate things, but I think we really speak the same language. Mm-hmm. Lane's a huge Hellboy fan, so like we kind of like, and Lane likes cosmic horror and like Lord of the Ringsy stuff. So like I think even where our styles were different, like we could talk about the inspirations for stuff and be on the same page.
Yeah.
Man, I think like I'm nervous to release the PDF of the script because it's just reference after reference after reference. It's like, hey, this is just this character from this universe. You know what I mean? I don't know. We might have to clean that up. I don't know.
Oh no, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine too.
Yeah. If anything, it helps people understand where we both were going, I think.
Yeah. I think
like Grant was saying,
I think it paints a great picture.
Oh, thank you. Like Grant was saying, like he can reference something, and I can go, okay, I think I know what he wants.
Yeah.
Out of this.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I haven't been wrong. There's still 40 pages I have to draw, so who knows?
How much is the page count altogether?
It's like 42, right?
42 pages.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, so wait, only 38 pages left to go. Yeah.
Great. So next question I had, what are your guys' plans for, and I'm coining this term now, you have to use it from here on.
Okay.
No, you don't. But what are your plans for the future of the Solavoreverse? How do you like that? How do you like that?
We're in talks with Disney. We're gonna have Iron Man show up at the end. So Grant probably has more ideas than I do at this point, but the goal for this was always to be that this first book is, I would say it's not concealed story. What am I trying to say? It's a contained story. That's what I meant to say. And I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but it ends in a way that, like, if for whatever reason Grant and I couldn't work on this, we have a rock and roll fallout. We just hate each other after this. I feel like this book is enough, but we wanted to keep it open so that we could tell other things. And the great thing about sci-fi is that you can make 1,000 different stories about 1,000 different things in that solar system, and it works.
Yeah. I know when I read the script, for one thing, Grant, you described it to me in some ways as kind of being like a prequel. It feels like it really sets the stage for the Solavoreverse. But it's one of those things that like absolutely self-contained. You could read it on its own and it's great. But it also just feels like you guys have created a world that is just so full of potential. There's so many ways that it could go. I want to say things, but I don't want to spoil anything. But there's just like so many directions that it could go in.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping that you guys have a next chapter in mind at some point soon.
I hope so, because going on about that, wasn't what this first book wasn't that like the first 5 pages of what we were originally going to do? Yeah.
So we originally, like when we were in the development stages of this, we were pitching it as a 5-issue series. So there were plans for each of those issues. That in itself is a contained story. I like Concealed, actually. Let's keep going with Concealed.
Yeah. Let's pretend I'm not,
But
this is why I'm an artist, not a writer.
But yeah, the first 4 pages of that first issue of the original pitch were the hunt for the Solavore. And we had pitched the series, and we got a no, it was, it was a little bit of a setback, but then Lane brought up the idea of doing a Kickstarter, because their God Puncher Kickstarter had just crushed it.
Yeah.
It was 250% funded, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so amazing. And so we were like, yeah, let's do that. But at the same time, we knew that we couldn't kickstart 5 issues. I mean, because that would have been hundreds of pages of untouched material. I hadn't written the script, Lane hadn't done the art for it. So we just decided to scale back. And that's kind of where the idea of like this self-contained prequel came from. Was just that, like, walking the balance of there is so much more, but we want to tell a story that can be, funded, like reasonably funded. Basically.
Right.
So do you foresee that kind of being the way forward? Like if you guys are going to do a next chapter, another kind of thing of it being like it could go somewhere, but it's going to be the kind of thing where if it ended there, that would work too.
We haven't really talked much about what happens after this. I don't know. Maybe
I know. I've this is just me being nerdy and rabbit trailing. But I know like one of my favorite shows, my favorite show, is The Leftovers, and that was one of those shows that treated it the same way. Every time they ended a season, it was like this could absolutely go on, but if it ended there, you wouldn't be unsatisfied by it. If you guys haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's great. HBO, give me your money. I just
sponsored by HBO Max. Hunt for the Solavore.
The Snyder Cut.
No, don't say his name.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna get so much hate no matter what we say.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, quick question for you, Grant, specifically. So I know we've both been in the reviewing game for a while. I'm just curious, how do you feel like that's kind of affected your creative process? Do you feel like it has? Being a reviewer and being someone who sits down and kind of dissects a work to see what works and what doesn't. Do you feel like that's changed how you write as a writer?
Yeah, in that I feel like I'm always the reason I wanted to review comics was because I would read something and was just so excited by something they did with the plot or the art that was like so cool. So I think in that way it's kind of like affected my creative process, just in that it's showed me what you can do with the comic book format. There's some fun visual stuff that we're gonna have for you in Hunt for the Solavore that definitely I wouldn't have been able to picture had I not seen really great work from, of course when you're trying to list off all your favorite creators, you of course go blank, but like these people these people whose stuff I really admire.
Like Mignola, we mentioned like Hellboy before.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Okay, yeah. Actually, that's a great. So like as a reviewer, I would like read that stuff and want to gush about the pacing. I think Mignola's pacing is amazing.
Yes.
So in that sense, because I've like spent time having to think about that element because I have to write about it, I then have the desire to like do something similar. Like, like horror really works here.
Yeah.
Because of this like pacing thing. And I want to adapt that into my own stuff. So yeah, but I don't know. That's tough. Like I don't know if that's coming from a reviewer's perspective or just a reader's perspective. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know from our conversations, we'll often like get on a call and gush about something in something, and then you'll send me a script and I'll be like, "That's what we were just talking about." I'll be like, "Where am I credited for instance?" No, I'm kidding. No, but it's one of those things like that screenplay you sent me not long ago. It was one of those things where you and I had talked so much about the concept of mystery being more interesting than answers. And then you send me this screenplay that's just like full of mystery and very few answers. And it was interesting. So, even if you don't see it, I definitely see in your work how you're dissecting and reviewing plays into it.
Wow, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah. Lane, this is kind of like an interesting shift because you did, like you mentioned before, you did everything for God Puncher. What's it like? Kind of. So for one thing, for Hunt for the Solavore, you're doing the lettering, you're doing the coloring, you're doing the art, all of that?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, that is already like an incredible amount of work. But how is this different kind of being? I was talking with Grant earlier on this call. He was saying you are involved in the writing process as well. You guys are kind of working off of one another in interesting ways. But what's it been like doing the stuff as more of an artist role than both?
Well, I appreciate Grant being kind and saying that I'm co-writing this, because I feel like he has 1,000 ideas for this. All of them are great, and most of the time all I can say is, yeah, it's good. I like it. Good job. Let's do this. I will say, even though, yes, I'm like doing the lettering and the coloring for this as well as just the pens, but not having to worry about all of the plotting has been relaxing in a nice way.
Yeah.
It's like, I love driving. I love being the one in charge, but sometimes you just want to let someone else take over. And then you're just in charge of the radio. And that's very comforting. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about stop signs. I just have to make sure that Carly Rae Jepsen's on. That's all. But yeah, no, it's been nice. It is kind of, sometimes I'm not entirely used to working off of someone else's script still, just because for the longest time it was just me.
Yeah.
But Grant makes it extremely easy to figure out what we want to do in each panel. And he's also very open to if for whatever reason I'm like, hey, could we try maybe doing this, or let's change this page up a little bit. I guess that's my main contribution to the writing.
Yeah. And I even remember bits of the scripts that are kind of like, have at it as long as it's scary, like stuff like that. So, there's definitely a lot of room in the script for your interpretation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have there been moments you guys have kind of really surprised each other by your own interpretations of each thing?
And this is not an exaggeration in the least. Every page I get from Lane is a surprise, because they've taken like the concept of what I wanted to do and like the beats, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and just completely elevated it to something that's emotional, that's like resonant.
Oh, thank you.
In a way that a script just can't be.
Mm-hmm.
There is Lane's been sending me a couple pages, and there's a really big moment in the first couple pages of I'm just gonna say it's when the Solavore eats the first eats the first son.
Eats the first vampire.
Eats the first vampire. It is just like it is what I wanted, but I could have never said it, because it looks so much bigger is hardly the word, but like
yeah,
I appreciate
it is hard to describe.
Because I'll be honest, when I sent you that page, I was like, oh, he's not gonna like this.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I'm really excited to see the finished work of this stuff. I mean, I love the script. I love the images that you guys have been sharing on the Kickstarter and on Twitter and stuff like that. It's exciting stuff. We're gonna put the link to the Kickstarter at the bottom, which I have to do this because people don't know what I mean by bottom, of course.
The bottom.
The bottom.
That way.
The bottom.
That way.
That way. It's gonna be down there. Yeah.
Lane, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up, Lane.
Lane's like,
I'm here to sow chaos.
Okay, we're gonna need you to post the videos in 2 different places, and the link in between. Because Lane fucked this interview up.
Well,
Sorry.
Thank you guys so much for doing this with us. We're gonna hopefully have this up in the next couple days.